What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll Gypsy Diaries. I'm your host, Andy Thunders, the Rock and Roll Gypsy himself. And with me, I've got my good friend, another awesome Andy. I've not met an Andy that isn't awesome yet. Andy Guttercat of the Guttercats. His own solo work recently, which is fantastic, which if you've been tuned in, I've been plugging as well because it's just fabulous. And much more. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Good to hear you. Good to see you.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it's a weird time for everyone, I think, with the situation worldwide. But yeah, thanks for the plug on the music. Really appreciate it. I'm actually doing
not a
something
problem.
now
It kicks ass.
Sorry?
I said it's not a problem. It kicks ass. It speaks for itself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was it. That was the idea when I started doing it. To get out there and put some music out there for everybody again that appealed to me and something that I wanted to do this time rather than a band thing, as it were, which has been in the past. It's doing my thing, doing the Andy Guttercat solo rather than the Guttercats, which I did for many years with different lineups, different styles of music as well throughout. But I think my history really is kind of encapsulated in the latest song, really, and video.
I would say so. The video and the lyrics. I mean, like I said, I poked fun at you because grunge did have some good stuff, and I hate the term grunge. And I don't know if you watched any of my other interviews on here with people who are actually part of that scene or, early on. And, but the initial spirit of it is what everybody who loves rock and roll, it's almost a universal song. It's really an anthem.
Yeah, it's kind of an anthem really for the old ones.
Yeah,
the old ones that are still out there and into the music and making the music, rocking, dressing up and going out, all that really.
I mean, I'm only 30, but I mean, it's something that I can see myself. That's me in the future because I've been at it this long. I ain't gonna stop. So,
Wow.
it's something that us younger ones can aspire to, to leave a life and a legacy and to be able to go out there and have fun and do it still later on,
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I mean, this song, like I say, encapsulated my history in music really. It never really originated as that when I began writing it. It was just supposed to be a little bit of a fun time song, but it just seemed to take on its own kind of path really as I was writing it and going forward. And then obviously the situation arose and I thought, well, what are we going to do for a video for it? To begin with, I thought it was a bit kind of cliche throwing photos and things in, but now that it's out there, people are appreciating it.
I was going to say, you seem to be getting a good reception with it.
Yeah, it is. It's been such a good reception with it, really. So far, I've had no negative kind of thoughts, comments about it at all. Whereas the previous one was a little bit more kind of, there was a few people out there didn't particularly like it, but it could have been for the aspect that they didn't expect something like that from me, which was the two-faced people.
I freaking love that song.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played that on my radio show repeatedly as well, at least once a week at times, because I get the message of the song. I love punk, and maybe it's the punkier side of it that might have, thrown people off maybe, but I completely love that song.
Yeah, quite possibly. But at the time when it came out last year, it was kind of a message was going out there. We'd got a government and they were being two-faced and things about the situation without trying to be political, because I'm not political in any way, but it was kind of pointed out to me by a couple of people that it was the way of the world at the time. There was one one government saying one thing, another person in government saying another thing. It was very two-faced in that respect because of the
trust me,
COVID.
as a freaking Yank, I know all too well what you're talking about. Trust me.
But it just seemed to encapsulate that moment in time, really. But it wasn't necessarily written as a political song in any way.
No, I didn't get politics from it. That's why I'm like shocked that people tried to say it was a political thing.
Yeah, but it was very much written as a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, really. Throwaway lyrics is what I would call it, which most of my lyrics tend to be kind of just throwaway. I'm not really out there to make a statement or anything like that. They're just supposed to be some good fun, really. Good tunes.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say they're bad lyrics. I wouldn't say they're bad lyrics. They're very direct. You know, they're not overthought. Like sometimes you need the simplistic and not the overthought, intellectualized stuff. As much as I love that stuff too, I'm a big fan of Tom Waits and Bob Dylan as much as I am stuff. But like you and Johnny Jetson here in America, I love his stuff because it's so simple. You know, the simplicity is the genius. So, I mean, maybe it's because I'm a fan and a friend, but honestly, I don't think your lyrics are throwaway. You know,
I just tend to think of them like that. It's, but it also goes back to the days with the Guttercats and things, and the songs previous to that. Whiskey Avenue, for instance, very catchy song, very melodic.
You know what my favorite one on that EP of the Guttercats is? Who's She Killing? I don't know why, but I never would have thought you could put a song like, I totally get, I wonder who she's killing now, and it's relatable to me. But I'm just like, good God, that's a brilliant way that I've never heard that kind of statement put in those words. It was brilliant to me. You know, I just had to say that because I really love that song, and I don't know. Maybe it's because I've been through the ringer a few times.
Well, the thing is with that song that although it was the version that's out there currently at the moment wasn't originally a Guttercat song.
Okay.
It goes right the way back to one of my earlier bands, which was Friday's Angels.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that name passed around, but I never knew it was you.
Yeah. We were Coventry-based glam rock band, as we called ourselves. Coventry, for those out there in UK, America, near to Birmingham.
Okay, yeah, because there's a Coventry in Queens that Kiss made famous.
Yeah.
You know.
But without digressing too much away from the song subject, the song originated with Friday's Angels, and it's actually one of the very first songs I believe that we wrote upon getting the band together. I joined the band because the band had already been together probably in some form or another for a couple of years.
Okay.
I joined them on vocals after they'd been looking for a vocalist. And like I say, it was one of the first songs that we kind of wrote. We felt it was that strong that each time the lineup of the band Friday's Angels changed, we recorded 3 demos over that period. And each demo actually did a version of that song. Okay. And each one was different each time. So in effect, the Guttercats version that you can hear now is the 4th version of that song, believe it or not. Okay. And originally it was written, from memory, it was written about a girlfriend at the time, I believe.
Yeah.
From what I recall.
So it's
there was
real events.
Yeah, and there was always a friend of mine that he was always on about how good this song was. Oh, it's brilliant, it's brilliant. He said, if Friday's Angels ever quit, give up, he said, that song has to be re-recorded. And his idea of it was different to mine, but he said, that needs to be recorded by an all-girl band. It's not happened yet, mine, but that's what he said. He said, that needs to be recorded by an all-girl band.
I can't disagree with those statements.
Yeah.
at all.
But yeah, it is. It's a very popular song. I'm very surprised that it kind of lasted as long as it did.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know. I thought it was something you had written for the EP that came out then and stuff. I thought it's a brilliant rendition. If there's other versions, I mean, I only know that one, but I could see
Yeah,
pick that one because it's so full of piss and vinegar and it's still got the melodic intact. It's the best of both worlds, I think. And
I believe the first version obviously was very, very rough when we did it in the studio. Quite a punkier version, I suppose, of that. And then I think the second or the third time that we did it, we also included in that a female backing singer.
Oh, nice.
We included, so it was different again in that respect.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just kept progressing all the time until it reached the version that is out there on the Whiskey EP now, along with one of my favourites on there, which was Mile High.
That's a good one. I love that one.
Which to me just kind of reeks of kind of Tiger Tail's Wrathchild, that kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of,
yeah, the punky glam kind of thing. Yeah. I love that one too, because I love the fact that you were able to take such a catchy song and kind of rip apart like the upper class, as it were, in a way. Like, that's just everything I love about rock and roll, like at its essence, could be summed up in stuff like that. When you can take the piss out of the upper class snotty types in such a catchy and almost non-threatening, but cheeky way,
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up on my musical learnings came from the first Sex Pistols album and the first Pink Floyd record. I was playing bass to that, looking at tabs and shit. So take us back a little bit, if you don't mind, to
I was just about to say
your upbringing and the music you loved growing up that inspired you. And
my first leanings towards music came with Elvis Presley, basically.
Oh wow.
That was my original musical hero. I was passed to me by my auntie at probably 8 or 9. I don't think it wasn't a full album. It was one of these like mini albums that they used to put out back in the 50s. And this was a 50s record that was given to me.
Oh wow.
And it was the soundtrack or the songs from the Elvis movie Loving You. I've still got it somewhere to this day. I probably should have got it out and shown you that. But it's a bit
a lot too.
It's a bit battered in these days, the cover and that, because obviously my auntie had it as a teenager herself. So, but yeah, it was passed on to me. But that was the first kind of stages of getting into music, and then there was a lot of kind of rock and roll type bands that I was getting into at the time, because rock and roll had become quite a mainstream kind of music during the 70s as well, with bands like Shawaddy Waddy and the Darts. I don't know whether you've heard of them.
I have not, but I'll do a YouTube dive just to see what you're talking about.
But yeah, there were bands like those around at the time. Obviously, there was a re-emergence of people like Bill Haley and the Comets, and obviously Elvis as well was getting into the charts with Way Down and things like that. Wow. But at the same time, as you just rightly said, the Sex Pistols and those kind of bands were just kind of teetering around then at that time.
I was just going to ask you if this, just to get the timing, if this was right around like right before punk, because I mean, punk rock to me always sounded like, at least the early records by the Pistols, the Ramones, and the Damned, it was like a really piss and vinegar filled 50s style rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were definitely influences there. I mean, I personally wasn't into any of the things like Genesis or anything like that was around at the time.
Yeah.
It was, I wasn't, I wasn't quite into music in the late 70s as much as I probably should have been. My introduction to music came after Elvis with the introduction to the Sweets and Slade.
Oh, yes.
But in saying that, though, my recollection of those bands is not necessarily seeing them on Top of the Pops, as a lot of people keep recalling. But I kind of drifted into Slade and Sweet slightly after they'd kind of been in the big time, as it were. They were on the come down point. And I think the Slade album that I particularly got into, believe it or not, was called Whatever Happened to Slade. But once I started listening to those bands and delving back into the history and the albums and the singles, a lot of my friends weren't particularly into them. They thought they were a bit of a novelty band. My friends were into Black Sabbath, Pink Floyd and things like that. But my first venture into, I suppose, away from Slade and the Sweet was firstly going to see Slade on my own at a local venue. None of my friends wanted to go. I went on my own. And that was my first venture into going to a live gig. But my first real like heavy metal gig was going to see Black Sabbath. Again, locally in Coventry.
What year?
That would have been where are we? 78, I think. 78.
So Never Say Die, and obviously the next part is seeing Van Halen open for him.
The only reason I went to see Black Sabbath was that most of my friends were going to see them. I then saw Black Sabbath playing Never Say Die on Top of the Pops. And I thought, what a song that is. I love that. I knew some of the Black Sabbath stuff, but based on seeing that performance on Top of the Pops and Never Say Die, I went out the next day and I bought myself a ticket to go and see Black Sabbath. And lo and behold, Van Halen was supporting. No idea who they were at the time.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had known who they were at the time or if you.
No, I had no idea. And I went to this gig, see Black Sabbath, and we were upstairs in the upper level, called the Heavens, I think we used to call it. There was 3 levels. There was the Heavens and the Gods, and then the lower one, which was I can't remember now. But anyway, I was on the second floor and sat down watching Van Halen. It just blew me away. Wow. And the next day, I just went out and bought the Van Halen album. Went up to HMV, went and bought it. Never looked back, really.
That's crazy because I've heard a similar story, but everybody says they were there to see Van Halen, not Black Sabbath. You are the first one I've ever heard say, no, I went to see Black Sabbath and didn't know who Van Halen was.
No, I didn't. No, I hadn't got a clue at that point. It was totally new to me. But
and I think that had an influence on Rocky Shades too. I think that had an influence on our friend Rocky Shades as well.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, definitely.
You guys are kind of coming up in music kind of at the same time frame then.
Rocky was a little bit before me. He's a little bit older than me.
Okay.
Yeah, so the time scale is slightly different.
Gotcha.
But I've seen Van Halen. Sabbath were absolutely excellent as well, I must say. Even though Van Halen had topped the bill at that point for me. But and then the next gig that I went to see was AC/DC with Bon Scott at the same venue.
You lucky son.
But for that particular one, I was right the way up in the gods, up on the 3rd floor watching that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it was still an experience, and still got the memory of Angus coming out underneath that curtain with all the smoke and that. Yeah.
I mean, my only claim that's cool is I got to see AC/DC with Axl singing for him.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
That was really good, and people dumped on that. I saw it in Buffalo. Oh,
Well, no, I should say I've seen Axl, not with AC/DC, but Axl with Guns N' Roses.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lucky I haven't gotten there yet. They're a bit pricey over here.
Well, when I saw them, they were still playing the smaller venues over here
Okay.
on the first UK tour. They'd got Faster Pussycat supporting and the Choir Boys.
Now I've seen and met Faster Pussycat, and I've got a vintage pin on my vest.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually very nice guys. I know it was a
Mm.
different lineup that I met, obviously, but Tammy was nice and Danny was awesome.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, going back to the music. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got into the Van Halen and Black Sabbath, and then all the other bands started to come along. That I mean, I listened to some of the punk stuff. I didn't listen to an awful lot of it at that point.
Yeah.
Bristol's Damned. For me, at that point in time, it was all about the new wave of heavy metal that came along.
Yeah.
You've got like Saxon, Samson,
Prowler, Angel Witch, Diamond Head.
yeah, Tigers of Pantang and things like
Yeah.
that. All those bands. So I was heavily getting into those style of bands. We used to have a Friday rock show here, and you'd get all those bands being played in
Nice.
like demo format on the show, Iron Maiden and things like that.
Yeah, like the Soundhouse tapes era, right? Like the demo
Yeah.
talking.
So there was all that going on, really. And it was kind of around that time, and I just about left school about that point, I believe. And I got together with a couple of mates, and we started playing some music, very loosely, should I say, music. But because we were all learning, really. We got a guitar, we got myself on bass, and we got a guy on drums.
There's a term that a lot of people in the Pacific Northwest use for those types of bands. They call them funk bands. Kind of fucking around. See, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We had a set of songs. We had a name for the band.
Mm-hmm.
We had all the big ideas that you had as school kids, which is what we were. The two guys I was in the band with were a year below me as well at school.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just started messing around. We booked rooms for rehearsals, and before we even went into proper rehearsal rooms, we were actually rehearsing in my parents' front room of the house at the time. And if you see the British houses or whatever, we'd be like a little glass bowl in a row of houses, and on a main road with all the buses and the cars going past. People on the pathway walking up and down, and we'd be in the living room with just a massive window in front of you, and we'd be in there playing as loud as anything through these speakers that my dad had in the front room as well for his stereo.
Oh, nice.
4x4 kind of cabs that he used for his stereo, playing his records through them at the time, and we managed to hook the guitars up to it, and obviously everything was coming through there, and we had to make sure my parents were at
have a very heavy sound too.
Yeah, but yeah, it was fun, and that's how it started, really. And like I say, we moved on. We went into some rehearsal rooms and carried on from there, but it kind of fizzled out a bit, really. It was all very kind of we've got big ideas, names of the bands, we've got songs. I've still got some of those songs on tape somewhere as well that I've kept back from the rehearsals. But it just wasn't really meant to be. And then obviously as at the time, we were kind of like in a situation that our parents weren't really keen on us doing music. It wasn't the in thing then. We didn't have all these TV programs that were pushing you to be a singer or you could be in music. It was very difficult back then. Or it was as difficult as we made it, should we put it that way? But our parents wanted us to go get a full-time job, work in a factory or whatever,
Yeah.
And start making a living and settling down with the family as you do. And I ended up going out and getting a job. And once you get onto that cycle of working, you can't always get off it. It's very difficult once you've got that money coming in to get off that cycle, as it were. But I still got these dreams of wanting to be in a rock band. And the next band that came along, just throughout chatting with people, was a band, where are we, called Malias, they were called.
Okay.
And they were like, what was it, Malias? No, I'm getting it back to front. Firefly. Firefly, okay. I think it was the next band that I was in.
Nice.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff did you guys play? Was it originals, or did you do covers, or?
Well, in the next two bands, Malias, Firefly, we were doing our own songs.
Okay.
Yeah. But basically, when I was in Firefly, I went out and bought myself a red leather jacket, and I got the sack from the band for it.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't like it because they were like a biker type band. They wanted to be greasy hair and
black leather and
leathers and things, you know. Very kind of, I suppose, Motorhead, Hawkwind kind of style look or whatever. I mean, I was into Motorhead in a big way.
Yeah.
Myself.
And I'm into Hawkwind as well too. I saw them.
Yeah. But at the same time, for me, music and dressing up and what have you came hand in hand for me.
Naturally.
Yeah. It was something that I always, even when I was into like the new wave of British heavy metal bands, I was looking at them and thinking, guitarist in Tigers of Pantang, he's got a stripy t-shirt. I want a stripy t-shirt. And it'd be a red and black one, or, you know, and things like that. And it would just get to that point where I'll be looking at what was being worn. It was like Biff Byford wearing his satin trousers. Oh, I've got to get a pair of them, you know?
Didn't PJ from UFO do the stripies too?
Yeah.
That's my little homage to him. I've got to dig my bell bottoms that match this out of my storage container right now, but yeah.
But yeah, it was always about the image thing, and that came with it. I mean, Twisted Sister came along, and
oh my God,
you know.
Did you see their performance on the Tubes when it aired?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. Just watching that back now, it's insane. Like, the audience, he was like unwilling to let two people not be into it. So he did everything possible. That was such a goddamn spectacle. People don't realize how goddamn important that was.
The thing is with Twisted Sister was that for me, I was already into them before they even got to that stage.
Yeah,
because
I'd been around for so long.
Yeah, I'd managed to get hold of the 12-inch EP that they'd put out. I think it was it the Cuts, was it?
Something like that. I think it was right before whatever they put out before the Blade, right?
Yeah.
Because I know they did a lot of independent singles that circulated, I think, over here more so, but they might have over there, like Bad Boys of Rock and Roll, I'll Never Grow Up Now. They were originally singles that they did as far back as like 79, 80.
Yeah, but they didn't come out until a bit later over here, those particular songs. But
they were re-released on Under the Blade in 85, I think.
Yeah, but I think the thing that kind of hooked me onto Twisted Sister as well was the fact that Lemmy and Pete Way were all kind of big fans of the band as well.
Yeah.
And they were bands that I was following at the time, like UFO and Wasted, Motorhead. I mean, Pete Way produced the first Twisted Sister album.
Under the Blade, or
Under the Blade. He produced that one, and
I
they
didn't
also
know that he produced it. I just knew that it was supposed to go out on Secret Records, and the record.
Yeah, and they did it. They did a gig at Reading, and Lemmy and Pete Way and Fast Eddie Clark got up on stage with them.
Yeah.
And won over the
audience
crowd.
slinging a bunch of shit at him.
Yeah, they were. But Dee Snider just gave us much shit as he could, people, you know. I mean, I went to see Twisted Sister at Birmingham Odeon. Nice. And it was on the first UK tour that they did.
I'm sure that was influential for you.
Yeah. There was I wouldn't say that the gig was a sold out gig, but there was a lot of people there. There was a band called Rocks that supported them that we also followed. A Manchester glam band at the time, worth looking up. They weren't massive, but they are still around to this day. I think they reformed.
Nice. I'll have to take a dive, and you'll have to mention them to come on here.
Yeah, but the most prominent thing that I could tell you about that gig, or two things I'll tell you about that gig, was that at the time, Boy George was very big in the UK in the charts. And Dee Snider did one of his rants, and he ripped into Boy George something rotten on stage. It was just like one of those standout moments, really.
Yeah,
you just had to just take on board. But the second thing, this is what will interest you now. The second thing that I'm going to point out to you at this gig was that this is the first time that me and Rocky crossed paths.
Oh wow, really?
Rocky Shades, that is, yeah. Yeah, this is the first time that our paths crossed, literally. Waiting in the queue to get Twisted Sister's autographs after the show. Now,
bastards.
Rocky Shades was stood behind us, me and my girlfriend at the time. He was stood behind us. And all I can remember was him going, and we're standing in front going, why would he just shut up? Why would he shut up his motor mouth?
That's an accurate first impression, I can imagine, because even now when I interviewed him on my former channel, that's the longest interview I have literally ever done. We had to pause and I had to take a piss, and he goes, "Oh, piss your pants like a real man." Like, if he didn't have to eat dinner and it wasn't late for us, we probably could have kept going and going, because he just I love him to death. I love that about him. He's the best storyteller because of that.
Well, I hope that little story cheered you up as well.
Well, of course, because I'm like, okay, how did they meet? I gotta hear this because I haven't heard this story. And
the thing is though, when I say meet, we didn't actually meet as such.
Oh, you just were, your paths crossed.
Yeah. I don't recall that we actually stood and chatted to each other, because we were at the time, we were excited to go and see Twisted Sister and speak to them. That was what we were there for. Yeah. You know, but we were well aware of Wrathchild. Okay. The first time that we got to meet Rocky and Wrathchild was they were playing a small gig at a little pub called the Railway in Birmingham, and we got to see them after the show. But I can't recall at the time now, because you're jogging my memory a lot, I tell you, whether that was the same night that the fire brigade had to be called out. Fire department, because there was smoke bellowing out from under the doors of the pub, and they thought it was on fire. Because that is that pyro. But yeah, that was the first night that we got to meet. Wow. Yeah, we got to meet Rocky and the rest of the band at that point.
What year was that?
What year? That would have been, I'm guessing, around 83, 84 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
somewhere around. I was just curious if you saw, like, because I know I don't know when exactly Lance replaced Phil, but I know that Phil was in for a little bit in the early days, and I never saw Phil with Wrathchild. It was always with Lance. Yeah, I'd love to track him down.
Yeah, never saw Phil with them.
Okay.
It was Lance from the off with us. It wasn't any different than the four
Gotcha.
guys at the time. So,
Yeah.
but the next one of the next times that I saw Wrathchild, believe it or not, was at Hanoi Rocks concert in Birmingham.
Oh, nice.
That's and Wrathchild were getting more attention at the front of the stage before Hanoi came on than anybody. Everybody just wanted to talk to them. As soon as they walked in the room, they just got that charisma that drew them. Yeah, and that was a standout moment from that Hanoi gig. And I can't honestly say that I remember what Hanoi were like that night. Wrathchild drew that attention away.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I got to see Hanoi on numerous occasions as well. So
that's really cool. I'd still love to see Michael Monroe. I mean, with the way the world is, I don't know what's gonna happen. You know?
But Hanoi Rocks, you're like this one as well. They played our local town, Coventry, with Johnny Thunders supporting.
Oh, you know how Johnny Thunders. Oh man.
Yeah, and that was also the Babysitters as well on that tour.
Oh, that's perfect. That's the perfect lineup, man.
Yeah,
you're making me jealous. If they ever build a time machine, I'm taking you with me.
but yeah,
give me a rock, you'll go back in time.
But no, there's loads of different bands like that I've seen over the time. Obviously, around that time of Wrathchild and Hanoi Rocks, that was when I kind of got to the point of wanting to do my own glam thing, which was Friday's Angels.
Absolutely.
There was a couple of bands in between that I did that didn't really take off. But Friday's Angels was really the one that kind of took me to a place where I wouldn't say it was like stardom or whatever, but it took me to a place where I could feel I was doing something and achieving something musically.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. We managed to play the Marquee Club at that point. I got a gig with the Babysitters, which was very much a highlight, and I look back on it very, very proudly that we managed to do that.
What were they like live back in the day?
The Babysitters.
Yeah.
Very entertaining.
Oh, I can imagine.
I saw them quite a few times, to be honest. Not just on the tour with Hanoi Rocks. I saw them on numerous dates that they used to do up and down the country, really. If they were playing local, Leicester, Birmingham, Dudley, we'd go and see them.
Nice.
They were just so entertaining to watch. Butts was just like, just a stand-up comedian in some ways, really, and still is to this day. In the performance that he put on, he could play to a room of 2 people and still put a show on.
Oh yeah.
As much as play to 100 people in the room, you know. It was the same each time. He was just such an hilarious guy, and the guys in the band just were part of that humor as well, in the way they dressed and didn't kind of take themselves seriously, really.
That's what I love about them and their music, and always will, because they're just goddamn fun, and it's all tongue in cheek. Everything is tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, after they split, I mean, we did I think we did one cover song with Friday's Angels. I think we did Rock and Roll Chicken or something like that.
Nice.
But we did kind of keep the flag flying moving forward with the Guttercats, and we used to do several Babysitters tunes.
Did you ever do Everybody Loves You When You're Dead? That's probably
we never played that one, really.
That one's my favorite, personally.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just think it encapsulates the way I look at the world. You know, it always has. Kind of like two-faced people. You know.
Yeah.
The same kind of idealism, just put in different words.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, going back to Friday's Angels, it was a great time. We went through a few lineup changes and what have you. But it had its moment, and we just came to an end really. A couple of the guys went off and joined another band in Birmingham.
Okay.
And I'd kind of got to a point then where I kind of like felt a little bit fed up with trying to put something else together, and my life had kind of changed at that point. To the extent that I wanted to be someone who went to the gigs rather than playing the gigs.
Gotcha.
At that point, life was changing, settling down a little bit. I wouldn't say with a family and what have you, just life was changing.
Yeah.
And I moved away from the music. It was quite tiring to keep putting different lineups together all the time.
I can imagine, you know.
It kind of happens, and it happened again with the Guttercats. I mean, I went into the 90s, didn't really think about doing any more music at that point.
Yeah.
I'd left it behind at about 1988 with Friday's Angels.
Yeah.
Moved into the 90s and kind of thought to myself, that's it, more or less. And that was until I was working in a factory in Cov, and this guy came up to me and he said, I'm in a band. We need a support band in a couple of weeks. And I heard you're a singer. Do you fancy doing it? And I said, I don't know, maybe. So I approached a guitarist that used to be in the Guttercats with, and I said, how'd you fancy doing some acoustic songs? And this is before all this acoustic thing started coming about in the 90s, where bands would go off and do acoustic things. We were already doing it in, it must have been 91, 92.
Yeah, that didn't start till like 93, 94.
Yeah, we were a little bit before it, and the idea came around, believe it or not, and the name of the band came about by seeing, well, not literally seeing, but seeing Bret Michaels performing in LA, not with Poison, but with his own solo band at this point, one of his first solo bands. Okay. And they were called Bret Michaels and the Hollywood Guttercats.
Oh, that's
cool. And I thought, Guttercats, that's a great name for a band.
It is.
And, but it was 2 words at the time, gutter and cats.
Gotcha.
So we put together this duo. We did this gig in the pub. We called ourselves the Guttercats, and it went really well, just the 2 of us. And the guy whose band we were supporting, he said, "We got another gig next week. Do you want to do it again?" And we went, "Okay, then we'll do it again." And it kind of went on like that for a few gigs. We supported them, and they just kept offering us the support. So obviously you can't just keep going out with the same bands all the time. You've got to start changing it around. And anyway, at the time we were hanging out with some other guys in bands, and we got offered another gig supporting this other band, which we went out and did. And while we were there at this gig, we got introduced to this guy who was a drummer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he was, but not a drummer as in the sense that he was into the Stray Cats.
Okay.
And he was into like the stand-up style of the Stray Cats.
Yeah.
And we thought that he would fit in perfect for what we were doing, which was this acoustic type rock. Yeah. So we got introduced to him. I'd known him for a while as a DJ anyway, but he joined us on drums. We did another couple of gigs, and the next thing we know, we did this gig, and there was a bass player that was introduced to us.
Oh man!
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that there were stories like that out there, but that's how it was. We got introduced to this guy who was a bass player, and that was it. The first lineup of the Guttercats kind of got put together, but the odd thing about it was that there was obviously myself singing. The guitarist he's a very good musician, even in his own right, doing classical stuff and that as well. but the other two guys, we're not exceptional drummer or exceptional bassist, but we just seem to gel and click as four people. And
sometimes it's not your technical prowess, it's how you play actively that actually.
Yeah, but it wasn't that we were particularly doing this to get anywhere or make any money or anything. It was just fun.
Yeah, exactly.
We've done all that back in the 80s, trying to do this, do that, and what have you. And we went into this with a different kind of attitude to it. And it was fun. And we were finding that because we were having fun, the audiences were having fun.
Yeah.
And it just kind of extended from there. And we were doing a couple of old Friday's Angel songs in there in a different style. We were then also throwing in some cover songs, which is, like I was about to say to you before, the Babysitters. We kept the flag flying for them.
That's awesome.
We were doing some Babysitter songs. The Beard song was an exceptional song for us to be playing at gigs, getting everybody singing along to it. We had crazy nights doing it, because it just wasn't something that was expected. For, like an acoustic band to be doing boom, boom, and everyone was joining in and loving it.
That's awesome.
And then we went on, obviously, and we did Teenage Idol's Gina.
Nice.
We played that for many years as well and made it our own. We were also playing some stuff by, Willie Out the Grip.
Mm-hmm.
And the Grip.
Yep.
We did one of their songs, a song called Getting Older, and that was a staple song.
That's a good song. Good choice to do.
And some of these songs we went out and we recorded them on the first demo for the Guttercats.
Oh, nice.
But around the time of that first demo, the guitarist decided that he no longer wanted to do the band anymore. He kind of like wanted to go off and do family stuff and what have you. But we kind of like decided to carry on. But we kind of changed the format of the band. We went to a 5-piece. We got 2 electric guitarists in. Nice. So the whole kind of like feel of the band changed again in that respect.
Yeah.
But we were still playing some of the songs, and then we'd also started writing some of our own songs at that point again.
That's awesome.
And it moved forward like that. But even in that instance, that second version of the band, it got to the point that we kind of, I don't know, we got kind of bored of it, I suppose, and it kind of we called it a day, and that was around 95, 96.
Oh wow.
So that was it. We kind of like called it a day. We did a couple of reunion gigs, as we called it. We were never a massive band. We played around the Midlands a fair bit.
Okay.
With that lineup of the band. But we were never a massive band by any means. But I turned away from music and I settled down, did the family thing, kids and things like that, and moved forward. I never really expected to do any more music again, which same situation as before, really.
When did that actually start, where you started working on music again then?
Well, it was, it would have been just going into the 2000s, I think it would have been.
Okay.
A little bit later, maybe. Might have been slightly later. My time clock is all over the place for years and things off the top of my head.
It's all right. Fair enough.
But yeah, we it came about that the original drummer was in a reggae band.
Oh wow.
And and I ended up borrowing this reggae band, except for the singer, and putting a version of the Guttercats together. And because we were half the Guttercats and half this reggae band called Kafaru, it was a thing at the time have this odd kind of name thing going on, and we called ourselves Gafaru versus the Guttercats.
That's cool.
And that's where it kind of kicked off again. But obviously, with having two bands on the go, it kind of like come to a point where it was a case of we've got to move forward with the Guttercats. So we started introducing more people into the lineup.
Gotcha.
And it went from there, really, moving forward. And at that point, the band has kind of like evolved from different lineups through the years, really, as people have come and gone. But the band eventually just became this kind of revolving door for a lot of local Coventry musicians, in effect. Which I don't know whether that's a shame or a good thing, but at some point there's been different people and it's just kind of evolved and moved from there. But the thing is with the Guttercats was that as much as there was some great songs in there, they weren't all necessarily down to me. They were down to other people's involvement as well.
Gotcha.
I never had kind of like artistic license over the songs that I was putting together. Gotcha. Even with Whiskey Avenue, Mile High, and some of the other ones that were in the set as well. They weren't necessarily 100% my songs. But moving forward to the present day, again, I kind of like moved away from a lot of music for the last 8 years, really. I haven't played a live gig in 8 years.
Yeah.
I moved away from it. When the Guttercat split, it wasn't like the happiest of times. And it kind of it knocked me back a lot, to be honest. And I had to find other ways to fulfill my time. And part of that was doing photography, podcasts, video interviews, you name it, really. I've had a little bit of a hand in the dabble in everything, really.
Yeah, jack of all trades, master at none.
Yeah, making videos, going to Camden Rock Festival, interviewing people there at the festival.
Didn't you put together a video for Rocky Shade's My Woman a few years back?
Yeah, I did that as well. Yeah,
that was really good. I remember that. You know, that's about around the time I was just starting out as a journo.
Well, there's a funny story around that, because the guy that made one of the Wildside Riot videos at that point, that they kind of employed or took on to make the video, his video didn't turn out as well as the one that I made.
Yeah.
And the one that I made was
one for the song Wildside Riot?
Sorry, say again.
Was that the video for the song itself, Wildside Riot?
No, there was another one that they did after that. I'm not sure which song it was for.
I'll have to look that up, because I don't think I ever saw that one.
But there was I believe there was another video that they put together, and the guys were like, "Oh yeah, this one that Andy's done. It's brilliant. It's better than the real one that they'd put together."
Yeah, well, it captures the spirit, I guess, that they were looking for.
I think so, yeah. But it's not an official Wildside Riot video by any means, but it's very, very popular.
Yeah, well, like I said, I remember it from how long ago now? So, I mean, that should tell you.
Yeah. But I mean, I was fortunate enough that at that point in time, we were out on the road as well with Wildside Riot. So I was able to get footage and things anyway that I was getting for my own purpose, really. Mm-hmm. But it just worked out that we managed to get a full video out of it that everyone seems to love.
Yeah, it's I love it. I mean, like I said, it's stuck in my memory. So I mean,
but no, they were great times. And at one point, the Guttercats and Wildside Riot just seemed to be out there together all the time. It was like a permanent thing. But just through me being cheeky and saying to Rocky, any chance of a support gig? And before you know it, we were doing numerous ones, really.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
that's really cool. I feel like if I was able to put something together and got over there and said something like that, Rocky would do the same for me, because he's just that kind of a guy. If you're that close,
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
like, and that would be awesome. But I don't see that happening.
We managed to get Rocky to sing on one of our demos as well.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that. That's really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just tickled pink that Gypsy Lee Pistolero is going to be singing on my EP, because I can't fucking sing. I've been trying, and no.
Well, the thing is though, if you don't ask these questions upon people, you never know if they'll do them or not.
Exactly. And I've known him for so long. It was probably the same scenario as with Rocky. It's just like, they would be perfect for this. I've known them for so long. Why don't I just see if they'll do it? And
I mean, the thing is that when we went into lockdown, I kind of like didn't really, as everybody didn't really know what to do with myself, and I ended up dragging the garage band out and purchased myself a guitar just previous to lockdown, in the kind of hope that I was going to learn the normal 6-string guitar and start and write some songs on my own, just for fun, really. See if I could do it. But when I went out and bought this 6-string guitar, I ended up playing it as I was playing a bass, because I'd been playing bass years previously in my first band.
I started off as a bass player myself.
But I was never brilliant on the bass. But the first band that we did, going back, I was singing and playing bass, and learning to play it at the same time in some sort of form or another. But I digress a little bit. But I picked up this 6-string anyway, and I started playing it as if I was playing a bass guitar, just one notes, and I thought, hold on, maybe I should go out and buy myself a bass. So I went out and bought a cheap bass, and it kind of took off from there. And I managed to get the bass into the computer through GarageBand. Started
I think you sent me
around with ideas, really.
Where it's just the bass and your vocals and the drums, I think.
Yeah, and I toyed around with this kind of ideas for some songs, and one of them happened to be this Two-Faced People. Man, and I thought to myself, oh, this sounds good. Never thought really that much of it, and I approached JJ out of the City Kids and the Main Grains.
Yeah, brilliant bands.
Yeah, I sent it to him, and I said, what do you think of this? And he had a listen. He said, oh yeah, I like it. And I said, any chance you could stick some guitar on it? And he put some guitar on. Before we knew it, we were re-recording the vocals on it. He tied it up a little bit in places, but all the bass work that's pretty much on there is me playing, which I was really, really chuffed that I'd actually played something. It was my lyrics, my song, my tune, everything on there, apart from the guitar, obviously, and a little bit of backing vocals. But JJ really kind of like pushed me into that, and that's where it headed. But when it come to do the second song, it took a lot longer, 12 months to the day, in fact, between the two releases. Yeah. I did a lot of waiting, and I was very, very patient, waiting for a guitarist to play on the on the song. And we had one or two problems with getting the computer sorted and trying to sort it through doing Zoom videos and things, because obviously couldn't come into contact at that point. And there was a lot going on. It just didn't happen in the end with this guitarist. And 10 months in, after all this faffing around and waiting around, because I was quite adamant that I wanted this guitarist on it at this one point, because it was part of my history of being in the band. But anyway, it didn't work out, and in the end, I thought, what we're going to do?
You could have got a hold of me.
I ended up asking this guy Stesh that used to be in the Drama Club Rejects.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I don't have that pedigree. I don't know if you know the history of the Drama Club Rejects, but the drummer used to be the original drummer from the Wild Hearts in there.
Yeah.
Not that that really makes much difference to what I've done anyway, but yeah. So I managed to get him on board to play guitar on it. He jumped at the opportunity because I'd already sent him the song a few months before to ask his opinion on it. And he liked it, and obviously in the back of my head, it was ticking over. Oh, this guy Stesh, he likes this. He likes this, and it was kind of like the first person that I kind of like thought, let's ask him, go for it.
Yeah.
And he jumped at it really. But I must say that on the second song, I got another guy working with me in the background, Frankie, who's motivated and pushed me with making the music as well, and he's been the backbone of this second song as well, really. He's the one that's been in the engine room putting it all together with the drums, putting the bass in there, Stesh's guitar, the backing vocals that JJ put on it as well, and the original guitarist from Friday's Angels, he sung on it as well.
Nice.
So there's been quite a collective kind of group of people, but it's something that I wanted as part of the history of the band as well, to get different people on.
That's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
Kudos to you for doing all that. And that's great. It must feel good after all this time to finally do what you want to do.
Oh, it does. It kind of makes you think, why didn't you do it sooner, really?
Yeah, I get that. If you ever need help or some guitar work or something, I'm wide open. If I ever need a vocal in your style, I'll ask.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got Audacity. I know it's not the best, but I can make it work,
Yeah. No, that's it. Because I've got lots of people that have been involved in different things so far.
Yeah,
people
and
that I've got on the horizon for different songs. Because we're working on the third song at the moment.
Cool. I was just going to ask if there's new stuff coming.
There is a new song that we actually we started working on it back in the summer, the third song, because we'd come to a bit of a junction in the road with the second song that we decided that we'd lay it up to the side for the time being while we waited and hung on, and we started work on the third one. But the third one is it's progressed quite a bit, and we've also gone for a live drummer on the next one as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
We were using drum machines and what have you programmed.
Yeah, that's what's on my EP as of now, but I was able to find a drummer who's going to put live drums on it instead.
Yeah. So we've been in the studio a few weeks ago, and we put down 3 drum tracks.
Nice.
And so that we've got three songs there that we can work on.
Awesome.
And we've also got some other song ideas there that we're sitting on as well. There's another song that kind of was being worked on around the time of Two-Faced People.
Okay.
And it's kind of incomplete, but we need to finish it. It's called Lockdown Isolation.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of, it was a song of the times when we did it, but obviously moving forward now, it's become a part of history now.
Absolutely.
But that's been in the works for a while, but I need to travel down to London to go and finish working on that with someone.
Awesome.
But that's there. So there are songs kicking around, a lot of ideas, and again, like I say, it's all my own song ideas, lyrically and melodies and what have you, which is what I've always wanted, really.
And like I said, I really like your stuff, and I always have. We're musically very similar, I think, you and I.
Yeah.
Only you can sing, you lucky bastard.
I wouldn't say that. I've not had any training singing.
I haven't had any training, and it shows. That's why I reached out to a singer.
I have had my moments where I have sung flat.
Yeah. I just sound like Bob Dylan and Johnny Rotten, who's toned down. That's what I sound like. So.
But no, I've never kind of like professed to being a brilliant singer by any means. I've always kind of thought of myself as a front man rather than
I was gonna say you're definitely one hell of a front man either way.
an entertainer, maybe front man.
That's what Ozzy says about what he does.
Yeah, rather than a singer.
Yeah.
I don't know. It takes a lot to get up there and give it your all.
Oh yeah.
And I've always thought that music is lacking that as well, because the three things that puts things together for me is one, obviously the music.
Mm-hmm.
Two is the entertainment side of it if you're doing live, and even the entertainment side too when you're recording the songs. And the third is the way that you present yourself. Exactly. Those three things, of what I've always concentrated on. Whenever we went out on doing gigs with Wildside Riot, for instance, I'd never wear the same clothes for each gig. I mix them up, mix and match all the time. Because a lot of bands, when you see them go out on tours or whatever, you'll see them wear the same shirt all the way through the tour.
Yeah.
And that tour is noted for wearing that particular shirt, say, or that particular jacket. And then the next time they go out,
they've got something different.
Do it again with something else. And when you look back on photos from different tours at different eras, that's what you see. And you can, but not everybody notices that, you see.
That is true. But people like you and I notice that stuff all the time.
But Rocky Shades has done that as well.
Yeah.
If you look back at Rocky Shades and the things that he's done exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Even to the extent Wildside Riot, the black and yellow.
Yeah.
He went out, he was doing the black and yellow thing. And then the next time he'd go out and he'd do something with, I don't know, the velvet jacket,
Yep.
And then now he's going out again with the studded jacket and the platforms,
Yeah.
So each time there's a different image to be given, And I've always thought a lot about that, putting that side of it over. And a lot of bands don't do that.
No, they don't.
And I honestly agree that when bands play live, that there should be that interaction with the audience as well.
Agreed. 110%.
Yeah. Even if it's simplistic, with the interaction, it could be give me a hey, give me a hello, that kind of thing. Very, very simplistic, but people enjoy that, and they if they're out for a night enjoying it, they will join in.
Absolutely.
But and a lot of the bands that I've always followed have been of that entertainment kind of style.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at Dave Lee Roth.
Yeah.
For example.
Well, I mean, same here for me, but I was given Kiss Alive 3 at age 5 on cassette by my dad.
Yeah.
So that's where my roots, I can trace back exactly to that album and that tape.
Yeah.
So, the same kind of thing, the same exact kind of thing.
And then it extends then into the other realms of the glam that was going on, really, with your Wrathchild.
Yeah.
And obviously, even to an extent, Babysitters, in a way, they've got that image.
Absolutely.
Putting across and entertaining. But I always look out for those kind of
too,
bands.
like on another side of the spectrum, there's Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys. That man was a madman on stage. Brilliant frontman, brilliant singer, I thought, brilliant lyricist.
Yeah.
But he had that niche and that Alice Coopery, like the creepy green gloves and shit. Like, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of don't like when I go to see a band and they just,
stand there. Yeah.
I'm not really worried about what they look like. I'm more worried about how they play, how they sound, and how they present themselves. And if you're just up there, that's not,
I mean, when I used to play, I used to wander out into the audience and things, and I'd suddenly wonder, why am I standing next to them when I should be up on the stage? Things like that, or standing on the bar, or going into the toilets even, then when you what's going on? Where's the singing coming from? It's but yeah, that's the sort of thing that you could do with the radio mic.
Yeah, it's true.
And where we lived in Cov, there wasn't any bands that were doing things like that with walking around with the radio mic, for instance, as well.
Yeah, it is true. Good point, because that was pretty cutting edge back then.
Yeah, but it does go right back for me, right back to AC/DC. On Scott going out with Angus Young in the audience, Well, I experienced that at Birmingham Odeon.
Yeah, I experienced Paul Stanley coming out to the middle of the crowd when I was 10 years old in 2000.
Yeah,
I'm lucky there. I got to see the original band.
Yeah,
but I remember Gene going up into the rafters and spitting blood. Paul coming over and Ace blowing up a guitar. Bottle rocket on the other one. You gotta. That's the thing that people need to remember, is that it's not just enough to be a good band. You got to make a show. You got to make an effort. You got to give a shit. You know.
We never really went down that road of using pyros and things, but
I know Wrathchild did.
we never really went down that route. We tried it a couple of times with the Guttercats, but it wasn't really something that that kind of took off for us. It wasn't an area that we were very confident in.
Still rock the fuck out without the need for pyro.
We found we didn't really need it. So it got pushed by the wayside, really.
Absolutely.
So that was quite early on in the Guttercats. But no, like I say, it was more about the image thing and that. And some of if you've seen the video of the latest song, you'll see some of the costumes and things in there that I've worn and what have you. They're a bit kind of gary looking, and you think, why on earth were you wearing that?
Slightly garish, yeah.
But that was we were just into that at the time. That was it. We didn't really care what we looked like. We'd be getting ready in, because there wasn't a proper changing rooms in some places that you play. So you'd end up going to the men's room to get changed.
Yeah.
And you'd be there and you putting eyeliner on and getting changed and stuff, and looking at you as if to say, what on earth's going on here? Like,
yeah.
And then you walk out on the stage.
What's this guy doing?
But I still get them looks to this day. Even when I go and see bands, for me, going to see a band, it's about dressing up as well to go.
Yeah,
it's not just about slinging an old denim jacket on and a t-shirt and jeans and going. It's about making yourself look a bit more rock and roll looking, which is what that song is about, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not too old for it. I still slap the eyeliner on and leather jackets, coloured boots, whatever.
It's funny because some people, I've gotten some hate sometimes to say, oh, just some middle-aged dude playing dress up. I'm like, I'm only 30, but I mean, I put on a hat. That's about the most I do. Okay. Whatever. It's not like I'm like putting on a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
It's just an extension of who I am that unfortunately I can't always do that at work.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't make you any less or whatever. People are just kind of ridiculous sometimes, two-faced people.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Oh man, this has been great. I mean, you're an absolute inspiration to me. I mean, I've been on my own music since 2015, and it just now seems like I'm actually going to see it realized. And, just you doing your thing and still doing it in the ways that you do is definitely an inspiration to me. I might add a guitar solo to a track I need to after I'm done here.
Right. I'm 60 next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 60. But
my dad's 50.
I have got an idea in my head that I would like to be in a position that, don't quote me on this yet though, but I would like to be in the position that I might be able to put an album out of songs.
I would absolutely love that. And like I said, if you need help on anything, don't feel
that's if we can speed the process of getting the songs together.
Naturally,
it might only be an EP, but
yeah,
an album would be excellent to put out there for my 60th year.
And I will do everything I can to help you achieve that if you need my help.
Yeah.
Got it. You don't just say, hey, I need some help, guitar work. I'll be like, all right, well, I got to learn it. So let's learn it. Let's get it going. I don't mess around. But you're a good friend, and you've been nothing but you're so genuine. You're absolutely genuine, man. And I can't thank you enough for doing this. And you know, go ahead.
I was going to say, going back to a couple of your interviews that you did recently, you did one with Thunderstick, didn't you?
Yeah, I've been good friends with Thunderstick for a bit, and I interviewed him on Civil Revolt through email. But when we were doing the channel, I was like, "Hey, let's interview you on camera," you know.
Right. Going back to what we were saying about the new wave of heavy metal.
Yeah,
Samson actually played here in Coventry with Thunderstick.
Oh wow!
For that first album.
Okay, before Bruce, and again, that was the singer for the tour.
Say again.
Was that before Bruce joined, or was he the singer on the tour? Because I know he was on the album cover, but he didn't.
Bruce was with him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he joined him at that point.
Wow.
And coincidence is that the place that they played in Coventry is where I work to this day.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Yeah.
if I plan on getting over there sometime in the near future when the world calms down a bit, because I've got to rebuild my savings. I was planning on it a few years ago.
But
I got to get over there for Hard Rock Hell, and I'd love to see this place.
But what I was going to say was that Thunderstick, I actually supported them in Coventry.
Yeah, you left that comment on the, I
supported Thunderstick. But when they played in Coventry, there was hardly anyone there for it. It was quite an empty room, to be honest.
Man, that's a shame, because they were such a good band. They still are.
But again, they were one of those bands that they put the show on, whether it was to One Man and the Dog or whether it was 200 people in the room. You know,
absolutely.
They were that sort of band.
Thunderstick's
they were great.
Kind of person. You know.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah. But also around that era was when Bernie Tormé first played in Coventry as well.
Oh wow!
That was to the opposite extent of an absolutely ram-packed room, and we supported Bernie on that tour. On
nice
that
man,
night of the tour.
Man,
but I recall meeting Bernie in the car park when he was packing his gear away and having a chat with him. And many years later, when he returned to Leamington, I'd actually been chatting online to him, but he seemed to recall that moment in Coventry when we spoke, and it came up in conversation, obviously.
Yeah.
But Bernie Tormé also played in Nuneaton with his then band, Tormé, Guy, and the bass player, McCoy.
Okay.
Yeah, they were doing the GMT, I think it was called.
All right.
Yeah. I got to speak to Bernie that night as well. And that was the night that Bernie told me to start and look into getting the Guttercats back together, which is what I did eventually on his say so, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'd had a conversation about me not really doing an awful lot of music, and he said, if it's in your blood, you need to get back out there and do it, and that's what I did.
I keep telling myself I'm gonna stop once I get this EP out, but I've got other songs that are half finished, and it's just like it won't leave me alone. I can't not do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think when you're people like us, you choose it. It chooses you. It's a blessing and a curse. In a way, wouldn't you say? Is that a good way to put it? And I mean, I love it, but man,
I've walked away from it a few times now, to be honest.
And you always come back.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I said to you earlier as well, it's not just a case of going back to the music. It's a case of being around the music.
Yeah.
Because part of what I've always enjoyed over the last 8 years is going to the gigs and meeting the people that play in the bands and talking to the people in the bands. They're all real people.
Yeah.
They all have a laugh, and they, drink as much as we do and go to the toilet the same as we do, all that,
Yeah.
but it's always great to hang out with them. But I've kind of, like, over the years, kind of made my name as Andy Guttercat as known as I can through other ways, really, which has been through the photography, the video, interviews with the bands on the podcast and the videos, and even to an extent making videos for a couple of bands as well. So if it wasn't for them as well, I probably still wouldn't be here either.
Yeah, exactly.
The fact that they've been willing to accept me into their circles and things.
Yeah. I don't know if I've been accepted into circles, but I got accepted into Hard Rock Hell with open arms. So there's,
yeah.
So,
but yeah, it's been a good old ride, really, and now we're back to where we were doing music again.
And I'm tickled that you are, man. I'm tickled pink about it.
Yeah, but it's great. It's great hearing the music on the radio, because we've never really heard that before either. That's a new one, really, and even to an extent, having all the hits and things on the videos that I've made, because the two videos have both been homemade as well.
Yeah, and they're brilliant. They're well produced. They're well made. You do a good job.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm very, very proud of what I've done and achieved with these over the time.
And you absolutely should be. I'm honored to call you a friend, man. Like, you're an inspiration to me, as whatever that may mean. But at the end of the day, what is it that you love about music?
That I love about music?
Yes.
For me, do you mean making it or listening to it?
Just in general, what do you love about music? What do you love about rock and roll? There's no right or wrong answer.
No, I personally like to move forward with music all the time. That's what I love, is to hear new things. If I was to be asked, I don't like to be stagnating with music. I try to keep moving forward all the time, and that, looking back over my musical history, is something that I've always done. I've always been looking for the next thing that I want to move to, the next band that I want to enjoy. Whether that was back when I was listening to Elvis and I moved on to Sweet and Slade, I moved on to Van Halen and Sabbath and all the rock things that came with that. But then the Twisted Sisters and the Rothschilds and all those lot came along. And it was looking for the next thing after that. Even to the extent that here in Coventry, rock music wasn't a big thing back in the 80s. Although we went round and we were dressing in makeup and things like that, and glammy clothes and things, there wasn't a lot of people that were into that music in Coventry. And the places that we used to have to go to in order to kind of slot in were the punk places, say, or the places where they would have men in makeup that were following different styles of music, like your Boy George's or your Duran Duran's. Even to the extent that we'd have to fit in with like Zig Zig Sputnik.
Oh, wow.
So a glam band or whatever, but within Coventry we had our own Zig Zig Sputnik, which was a band called Blitzkrieg Zone.
Neat.
Yeah, and that came about through the fact that the guitarist was friendly with Tony James at Zig Zig Sputnik, and he went to see Zig Zig Sputnik, and they put this idea together that they would put together a more of a rock version.
Okay.
For themselves Blitzkrieg Zone, because they actually had real guitars and bass in it, although they still had electronic drums, but they went forward in that way. And we were actually in competition with that band at one point.
Oh, wow.
Friday's Angels and Blitzkrieg Zone. And we were in local papers in competition with each other, who could be the better. But we were different styles of music. We didn't slot into realms, as it were. But it was just it was nice competition. You know, we'd go out into the places together and all right, mate, kind of thing. And you'd have the conversations and it would move forward like that. But yeah, and then we were all, I don't know, we always had to try and slot in Coventry. If we wanted to go to a rock club, we'd have to travel over to Birmingham and go to one of the rock clubs over there, which, I mean, we did it quite frequently. And we'd end up driving over there. And because we probably had too much to drink, you'd have to sleep in the car until the morning. We'd drive back so you were sober, you know, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But it was just crazy days, really.
Yeah.
You know, and seeing all the different bands that we'd go and see. But a lot of the bands like Wrathchild and Tiger Tales, Wolfsbane and all that, they all played in Birmingham. They didn't really come to Coventry.
Yeah.
It wasn't that kind of place. And it's still, and I'll be honest, it's still not really that kind of place. Some of the bands that I follow just wouldn't pull an audience in Coventry.
Man, that's a shame.
Yeah, and we have to travel to go and see them. But
well,
I'm not complaining about
Buffalo to go and see anything, or to Rochester.
I don't complain about it, because when we go to see a lot of bands, we actually go to London.
Oh, nice. There you go.
We make a day of it. If we're going to go and see a band for an evening, we make a day of it. But a lot of people in London, they've come up to me before and gone, "Don't you live in London?" And I go, no, I don't live in London, because you see it down that often. But I mean, it's like 2 hours drive away, London.
Yeah, that's about what Rochester is for me. So I'm kind of in the same boat. But yeah, we make a day out of it too.
But going back to where we fitted in Coventry, I don't know whether you know too much about the musical history of Coventry. Coventry is the place for two-tone music.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, like the Specials and Madness and things like that.
Also known as ska over here, I think they call it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never particularly been into those bands myself. It wasn't a music that I particularly followed, because I was into the glam thing at that point.
Yeah.
Why would I want to go out and dress up in a suit, in a shirt and tie, or whatever attire that they might be wearing when I was wearing makeup and leathers and what have you? Just, you know. But yeah, we had to fit in, and there was another Coventry band that came after them called King, and we kind of tried to slot in a little bit with them, with the fact that they'd got spiky hair like the glam thing, backcombed and spiky, and coloured clothes, but they were more of a coloured suits and Doc Martens and things. Again, different music again to what we were into. It wasn't rock; it was pop, really. Funky kind of pop, I suppose. Okay. But in saying that, though, which is kind of where I'm going with this as well, is that going back to your question about music and what I like and what I like about it, I've liked other sorts of music along the path as well. And I've gone off into different directions. I've obviously been into the punk. I've seen the Pistols when they played their reunion gig in London.
Oh, you're
one of the highlights of things. But at the same time, I've gone off and listened to some dance music as well.
Yeah.
You know, Prodigy and stuff like that has probably led me down that avenue. Then I've also gone off and listened to some like pop music. Robbie Williams is one of my kind of, I wouldn't say heroes, but one that I think is a great entertainer. Not necessarily like me. Again, not necessarily a good singer, but a great entertainer. And he's got some great songs.
So you love just finding new stuff that you can kind of find something to be influenced by.
Yeah, but in saying that, though, some of these artists as well, within the Guttercats, we've covered some of their songs as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
We covered a Robbie Williams song. We covered, I think, a special song as well, obviously, like we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Britney Spears song we covered. And there's some other pop artists as well. And what we tended to do with some of these songs is what I used to call was to punk them up.
Yeah, that's what Gypsy Pistoleros did with Living La Vida Loca.
Punk them up, you know, and make them your own songs. And people are quite surprised when they hear them, and they go, "Oh, I know this song, but it's a different version of it."
Yeah, it's when I heard the Gypsy Pistoleros do Living La Vida Loca, for example, I was like,
yeah,
I had heard this version first. I love this song.
Yeah.
Like, it just blew my mind that someone could actually make it good. You know?
Oh, yeah. When you say you've heard this version, do you mean the version that's just come out, or the version from several years ago?
I've heard both.
Because I was going to say there are two versions.
Yeah, I know. I heard their earlier version first.
Yeah. Because the first version is the one with Ace playing on it.
And Iggy too.
Yeah. So they're on that first version, which was around the time that Rocky was putting together the first version of Wild Side Riot.
Yeah.
Because Iggy and Ace were involved in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it never kind of took off really. But they were in a very early version.
That's how the way Ace was with me during that phone call is how he listened to bands. So that's why I kind of didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, but they
he's a lovely guy though. But yeah,
they were in a very early version of that. But but like I say, different music all the time, and just moving from one thing to another. I mean, even in saying that, I could go from listening to Robbie Williams and then go and listen to Wild Hearts, really heavy stuff, you know?
Yeah, and I'm the same way. You've heard my radio show.
Yeah.
You know?
But I haven't heard any Robbie Williams on there, though.
Well, no. You know, going from Stooges to Robert Johnson to the Ramones is quite an eclectic.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so it's kind of it's very different in the approach. I mean, this week, for instance, Limp Bizkit, I'm loving the new stuff. Never really been a massive fan of rap or whatever. It might be portraying, but
I like his new look. I'll give him that.
Yeah, but like I say, I won't be tied down to something. It's different things all the time.
I feel music should.
But at some point, I'd like to kind of like involve some of the things that I do listen to into what I'm doing now as well. Because I don't think that the two songs that I've put out so far are of the same kind of thing, really. One's a fun song and one's a half kind of serious kind of song.
Yeah.
The only links that I can kind of feel that are there are the links between the players on them or the singer on them, you know?
Naturally, yeah.
And I'm hoping that with the next one, it will come across differently again, and you'll think, hold on, that ain't nothing like the last one. This is completely different. You know? Because I'll give you the song title for the next one, which is It's Just Shit.
I like that. I can't wait to hear it, man. Like I said.
That's what it's called. It's just shit.
I don't know if I could put that on Hard Rock Hell unless we censor it a bit. But.
I can't. I mean, at the end of the day, I can't expect every song to get played on the radio or every song to have a video to it. But the next one definitely is not going to be radio friendly, I don't think, for that reason.
Yeah.
But for that reason, I wanted to do something different again that was a bit more punky, I suppose, and a bit more just, you know.
Yeah.
But lyrically as well, it's throwaway lyrics and they're quite fun again on the rest of the song. Is how it feels.
Nice.
So, yeah. I
look very forward to it.
Yeah, and I do hearing the finished product as well.
I'm sure it's your own. It's your baby, man. I guess.
Yeah.
But all right. Do you have anything else you'd like to say to your fans? Anybody watching this? As we wrap up,
to everybody who's watched the videos, enjoyed them, really, I thank you all. It's been fun making them. It's been fun seeing the reactions from people on both the songs, really. And I'd like to thank everybody that's been involved in creating them alongside me, because without them there wouldn't be any songs either. Yeah.
All righty. Well,
I'd like to thank you as well for taking time out.
Oh, it's an honor, man.
Interviewing me. Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. It's been due for a long time.
Yeah.
In all fairness, I mean, we've known each other how long now?
Oh, a number of years now. Yeah, yeah.
I've known Gypsy Lee since 2009. I've known Marty from the Prophets since about then too, when they were Hollywood Trash. And I've known Rocky. I think I met Rocky around 2012.
Yeah.
I met Mark first from Wrathchild. And that's all I'll say on that. We'll leave that be. But honestly, guys, if you like what we're doing, and go check out Andy Guttercat's music if you haven't yet. It's absolutely brilliant. If you like real straightforward rock, you know, I'll include the links underneath the bio in the description for the videos, and they're available on streaming as well, I believe. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. Well, they're up on Bandcamp if people want to purchase them.
Absolutely.
Any proceeds from any sales will go to a charity as well.
Oh, there you go.
I don't make any profit from any of the music that I've been putting out.
I'll put that link on there too.
I'm not putting music out there for profit. I'm putting it out there for the enjoyment, for people to hear.
I tip my hat to you, sir. That is the pure essence of rock and roll and what it's really all about, guys.
Yeah. The music, or the song Two-Faced People, any profits that were made from that during COVID, they were passed on to, at the time, it wasn't a charity as such, but it was passed on to a band that I thought were in need of some help during the COVID and a lockdown crisis, as it were. So the monies that were made were passed on there, and they were very grateful for that.
So, good on you, man. Yeah. I tip my hat. And if you like what we're doing here on the channel, guys, Rock and Roll Gypsy Diaries, interviewing Andy Guttercat, Thunderstick, all kinds of people.
And it's no longer with trash look, even though my shirt says that.
Don't mention the war. Okay. Yes, you did. You invaded Poland.
Members in trash.
Like what we're doing here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, leave a comment for Andy. I'm sure he'll be poking around. Be nice though. And until next time, guys, it's been an absolute honor. Thank you again, Andy.
I look forward to chatting to you again, maybe.
Oh yes, maybe when the next song comes out in another 12 months.
We can talk more about music.
Awesome. I should have you on for a discussion panel sometime. I'll think of a topic.
Yeah, I'd like to do that again. Having another chat.
Discussion panel?
Not necessarily about my music, but just music in general.
Yeah, I think absolutely.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, if you see on my channel, I did that with Pitch Black Sunrise on the comparisons between grunge and stoner rock, and you know, there's a divide between that fan base, but they're musically so similar, and just kind of. Something like that, I think, would be brilliant, but we'll have to come up with a topic. But
I'm sure that if we discuss any bands, there'll be some stories that we can bring up as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure, we both got quite a few for that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Once again, thank you, Andy. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, I'm Andy Thunders, and that's Andy Guttercat.
Thank you. Good night.
Much love, everybody.